and welcome to episode 3 of Asian Battle Royale. If you didn't see the last episode, then a lot of stuff happened. So, first of all, the alliance between China and India was formalized, and added to it was Indonesia, who had also recently annexed Brunei, parts of Malaysia, and East Timor. South Korea led an invasion of North Korea. That was kind of helped out by China, that installed a puppet regime in North Korea. There was a massive war in Afghanistan that resulted in these borders and Tajikistan being suspended from the anti aggression alliance. And Oman erupted into a civil war that is going to be resolved right now. So, the Omani Civil War, if you'll remember, is kind of functioning as a proxy war between the Arabian Alliance and the Middle Eastern Peace Alliance. And whichever side wins this is going to have a major leg up on both recruiting new countries to their alliance as well as kind of getting support for their alliance from within the country. And it's actually a pretty even civil war on both sides. As of now, it seems like the pink government is actually winning, and a major blow is dealt. However, Saudi Arabia then decides to send even more money and troops into Yemen, not sending their own troops in just yet, or not Yemen, into Oman, not sending their own troops in just yet, but Yemen might be doing that. And this is going to lead to massive gains, leading to only the eastern tip of Oman actually being still occupied by the main government of Iran. And this is happening right around the same time that Iran and Georgia basically give an ultimatum to the Caucasus saying stop going to war with each other or we'll invade you. And they don't stop going to war with each other. And so Iran kind of takes a temporary pause from the Omani Civil War to invade into the Caucasus. And that goes pretty well because they were at war with each other and they were pretty much weakened by that. So for now, they're occupied and they'll probably either be forced to come to peace with each other or who knows what else. But anyway, Iran taking even a few months, it was probably 1 month to deal with the Caucasus, has allowed for Oman to just be completely crippled by the civil war, leading to only the very corner and tip of Oman being still held by the main government. And at this point, Saudi Arabia offers offers an ultimatum to the current government of Oman, basically saying, if you surrender now, we'll let all of your government officials and stuff survive, and you might even be allowed to be part of the new government. It'll just be aligned with us. But if you don't surrender, then you'll all be purged. And despite fierce debate within the government, the leader of the government is selfish and doesn't want to be purged, and so he agrees to surrender. And that makes Oman officially a member of the Arab Alliance, which is really scary. And the UAE, realizing they're surrounded, will also join the Arab Alliance, which leaves the Middle Eastern Peace Alliance looking very not full. It's during this time that it's officially agreed what to do with Azerbaijan and Armenia, which is they're going to have a small land exchange. Their old governments are kept intact, but they are going to be overseen by the Middle Eastern Peace Alliance, who has changed their borders to look like this. If you know history between Azerbaijan and Armenia, I hope this is kind of something that might work, but obviously countries that have been at war for decades are never going to accept any outcome, even if it is kind of reasonable. Syria is also yet another battleground for the two alliances, as the main government of Syria is overthrown by yet another coup, and that leaves two sides in yet another civil war that's going to take place within the country, in yet another proxy war that's going to happen between these two alliances, but this one's going to prove to be even bloodier than the one in Oman. Troops from Lebanon start invading into this Syrian territory, while Kurdish troops secure the north of the country. Turkey, if they could, would probably be helping the Arab Alliance, but they can't. They can only help with logistics, and they're refusing to, so Turkey's not even relevant. I know most of Turkey's in Asia, but I already included them in the Europe series, maybe but kind of by mistake, but also like kind of whatever, so I'm not going to include them again. Anyways, the south of Syria is mostly defeated, besides a little bit which Israel decides to occupy. So yeah, this civil war is not going very well, and Iraq is going to fund these rebels over here, or I guess they're not rebels, they're just a faction in a civil war, to continue invading into the northern parts of Syria. And so it seems the Arab alliance is going to win the civil war, but we're going to put a pin in that for now because we need to do some other stuff in this episode besides just one civil war or one region. So, following India and China formalizing their alliance, a few more countries are going to be afraid enough to join the Mustard Alliance, specifically Thailand, Cambodia, Malaysia, and the Philippines will all join the alliance, and Tajikistan will officially be unsuspended after basically making their case to the alliance as to why they should stay in. Tensions between the two alliances could not be higher, as Kazakhstan really wants to stay neutral but is leaning towards the anti-aggression alliance if they had to choose. Basically, the entire continent is a powder keg. For now, nothing will happen, as instead China will focus their attention on North Korea as they start moving troops in, and the North Korean puppet asks South Korea for support, and South Korea says they'll only support North Korea under the case of unification, after which the North Korean dictator flees, to an unknown location. Therefore, North Korea is no longer a puppet of South Korea. It's kind of just anarchic, with factions fighting for North Korean independence, but also not really, as South Korea launches their own invasion into North Korea, and North Korea will be divided up between China and South Korea. But China and South Korea don't just stop there. Instead, they continue fighting against each other as China continues pushing into South Korea. And eventually, there's kind of a stalemate because Japan might be supporting South Korea. So eventually, the two sides will come to a negotiating table and divide up North Korea amongst them. And this is the new border between China and South Korea, otherwise known as just Korea, who will join the anti-aggression alliance because they don't want China to continue invading all the way into them. A very surprising event will happen over here, given all the stuff that's going on, as Kazakhstan and Turkmenistan gang up on Uzbekistan for some reason, and Tajikistan wishes they could participate, but they prefer being part of the anti-aggression alliance more. So it's just going to be these two, and unfortunately for Uzbekistan, they're no match for two much more powerful countries, and they know that they're not going to win, so they surrender before they even fully lose, but they know they're not going to actually keep any of their land. And both Kazakhstan and Turkmenistan have expanded tremendously. The video will be ending shortly, but we have to go back to the Middle East. A few more things are happening. First of all, Jordan starts lining troops up on the border of Palestine, which prompts them to join the Middle Eastern Peace Alliance. Second of all, the Kurdish rebellion up north is not going to last, as Turkey helps with logistics to get the Syrian rebellion to take over the Syrian government. And now there's just a little bit of Israeli-occupied land in Syria. And then finally, Qatar will invade into Bahrain, which will prompt Israel, Iran, and Georgia, as well as Palestine, and obviously Bahrain, whose government is in exile in Iran, to all declare war on not just Qatar, but the entire Arab Accords. But that will have to happen in the next episode, because that is where we're going to leave it for today. So if you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like as always, and subscribe if you enjoyed it, so you don't miss it when the next one comes out. But with that, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.